one is called the pants. Take 8.
We got a new crew member.
Welcome to Funniest Thing with Daryl and the best
You
looking.
can see your hand.
We all when we stop taking ourselves too seriously and step out boldly, like Mr. Magoo blindly stepping onto the next swinging girder and falling into an outrageous jackpot. Your hosts, Daryl and Ed, are about to administer a refreshing dose of laughter and love that will inspire you to step out boldly and experience the funniest things. Now, here are your hosts, Daryl and Ed.
Welcome to The Funniest Thing.
Yes.
Where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
Yes, it does.
I'm Daryl.
And I'm Ed.
And we're broadcasting live from Middle School Studios in downtown Culver City, the heart of Screenland.
Woohoo! And the lighting is beautiful in here, Daryl.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Let's see.
Today's
Anything you got to add? What's the title of today's show?
Today's show is
Or the
actually
theme, as you like to call it.
Today's theme is actually a lot of fun.
Yes.
It's Let's Play. Oh,
Let's try that again. What's the title of today's show?
the title of today's show is Let's Play Connect the Dots.
That's right. When we connect the dots, we realize everything in life is a blessing. Looking back, it becomes clear that even disruptions turn out to be detours to greater circumstances. And during the second segment, Crabby Mystic, Sister Mary Lea Hill, author of Prayer and You, joins the show to read and discuss today's daily word, blessings. Blessings. You know, there's a... Why don't you read the definition of blessings?
Yeah, we
Kick
got
it
a
off with
great
that.
definition. And
That is, we love the glossary of the science of mind.
Yeah, you don't. All our books are at goodreads.com /. Well, wait a second. Let's just make it easy for everybody. Just go to darylanded.com.
That's right, and click on the tab that says reading list.
Yes, and you'll find every book that we refer to during any one of our shows.
Including the book written by Sister Mary Lea Hill,
That's
Prayer
right.
and You.
Yes, which we're going to get to today.
Yes.
And all the books, pretty much the books that you and I love, are the type of books that you really don't have to start at the beginning and read it all.
Oh, thank God. I know we got a book here that you can read one word out of the glossary and be uplifted.
Yes, so all our books, you could pretty much just fan the pages and open it up, and funniest thing, get the perfect reading for you that day.
Right, and let's just say that the reason this show is called Let's Play Connect the Dots is because it's important in order to recognize and fully live in harmony and cooperation with all the good that God is doing. Because numbskulls like Daryl and I, we don't see it happening all the time. We don't think it's happening. But so we have to take the time, often at the end of the day or during the day, and think back on what has already happened, and connect the dots so we can make it obvious to ourselves where God did answer our prayers, where these amazing, funniest things happened.
Yeah, and you can even go back over a week or a month or a year
Or something that happened years ago.
Yeah, and you'll go, oh my God, I thought that was such a terrible thing, but actually that led to this, which led to this, which led to that, which got me here.
Because our whole goal is like we're massaging and kneading our own little brain, kneading like dough, that is, our own little brain into being receptive. Well, come on, lay it on me. You know the definition that you love of prayer.
Yes, I do.
You don't need to read it.
No, but I did. I wrote it in my book.
Oh, okay. I was trying to get him to improv it because he likes to go to this book, and I always say, dude, you always say it to me without the book.
I know, I do. But
you love the book. Go ahead.
No, once I get on the air, I forget everything.
Yeah, fair enough.
When no one's looking, I'm a pretty confident guy. So it says, prayer is the general name for that attitude of open and earnest expectancy.
Right.
It's so positive because a lot of people think this is such a positive definition of prayer because it actually it shares what the feeling of prayer really is, what the action of our part is in prayer. Because sometimes we hear the word prayer and we think it's pleading with God or it's something very dogmatic.
Right.
And this takes all that out of it. It's just having an attitude of open and earnest expectancy, which allows us to go, okay, this or something better.
Right. And we talked about it earlier that anytime we get into a positive state of mind, we're blessing the world. We're blessing the people. When we think about them rightly and lovingly, or just take the moment to connect the dots, making a gratitude list, we get everyone. This is what occurred to me this week, is that every time when I'm making a gratitude list for myself, I'm actually blessing everything I put on that list.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking about it lovingly, which is what prayer and blessing
You're
is all
actually
about.
thinking about it like this heavy book I'm holding says.
Yeah, I knew I'd gotten that one piece of that from.
I'm
something you said.
holding a book that weighs about 80 pounds to read 2 sentences from it. Okay, you ready?
Go.
Blessing. Constructive thought, and this is the definition, constructive thought directed toward anyone or any condition. You bless a man when you recognize the divinity in him. You bless a man's business when you think correctly about that business. And I like that he uses the word, it's thinking correctly about that thing.
Yeah,
Because-
meaning the way God thinks about that thing,
Well,
or the
yes.
way love thinks about that thing or person.
Yes, because blessing is the truth.
It is.
Like
That's why it's so powerful.
Yes, and really anything that makes me go, oh no, why is this terrible thing, and dive into that depressive train of thought, it feels so horrible because it's not true.
Yeah, you're trying to fight the full weight of a loving universe. It's amazing, and we get so used to fighting, and maybe a lot of the world around us has gotten so used to fighting that we actually think that that's what's required in order to live. But the truth is that actually is trying to work against the full flow of a loving universe. Sorry, Mr. French.
Yeah, our guitar just fell on our station manager, Mr. French.
It didn't actually hit him, but he got scared enough. So anyway, let's not let that get in the flow away of this show. So what else?
You got to read that story about the horse.
No. We had something else to do. Let's do our breathing first. How about that?
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, because we want to get into the state of mind where everything's a blessing. And Daryl, this was the original idea for the title for the show, but I said, that's a little long-winded for the title, but perfect for the breaths.
Yes.
So let's take a breath to clear our mind. Everything's a blessing when I connect the dots.
Everything's a blessing when I connect the dots.
Let's put a little spunk in that.
Everything's a blessing
when I connect the dots. All right, so now, before we read that horse story,
The horse.
let's read this little piece from page 44 of a book called You. This book is awesome. I think this came originally from the table, like the 50-cent table at the Center for Spiritual Living in Inglewood,
Yes,
where
it did.
Dr. Elizabeth Marshall and Minister Kenneth Gray
Yes.
reside, and that's where we go to our weekly metaphysical Bible study. This book actually has like a felt or velvet cover. It's so amazing. And it's written on parchment, like browned parchment, because it's, what year is this thing from?
I think it's early century, last century.
1935.
Yes.
And, by Francis Wilshire.
Well,
and
let's
it's
hear it.
awesome because it talks about blessing.
Well, wait, don't give it away, because it actually starts off in a very unique way that I think our listeners will be surprised, because that's what I liked
Exactly.
about it.
All right, sir. You have all heard of the oft-repeated saying, God helps him who helps himself.
No, wait, I got to stop there, because that's usually, whenever I heard that, it was basically a way of someone to just, if I was asking for any sort of help from anybody who was an adult, they would just shoo me away with that saying. So I never really embraced it until the way she put it.
Meaning, to help oneself, one must use what talents one already has the use of. And the ability to bless is one of our greatest talents if we use it. That's what I was going to say, is that it's how often have you ever heard of blessing? Our ability to bless is actually a talent.
Yes.
And it's so true.
That's exciting.
Blessing not only increases the already tangible good, but brings forth more from the invisible or intangible. The outpouring of your blessing has a magnetic effect on you. Send your blessings out on wings, and they will fly back to you laden with riches. There's no limit to the good blessing can bring into your life.
Yes.
And that's why I don't really, part of me has not always liked the word blessing because like, what does it mean? I'm going to wave my hand over something, and because I did that, it's going to multiply or prosper. But really, when I think about it and realize that every time I sit down and I make a gratitude list, or where I connect the dots of all the good that has happened in my day, that is actually the most powerful blessing that I could give to anything, because it's thinking about it lovingly, it's perceiving it rightly, it's opening up the channel for myself and for the thing I'm thinking about to have even a greater experience of good.
Well, it could be even going back, connecting the dots and seeing the things that I thought were misfortunes in the week or my day, and now I'm looking them back with a new set of eyes, and they see, wait a minute.
Yes, well, it certainly is that. Yes.
It makes everything a blessing.
Yes.
Everything.
Exactly.
You know, and it's when I started looking at like I was driving here, and there was a car, he wouldn't let me in.
Yeah.
You know, the traffic, the road narrowed because there was some construction. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get upset, and then I saw there was a spot for me to get in ahead of him, which made it easier. So I snuck in ahead, and I'm driving, and I go, wow, I got in ahead of him. It worked out fine.
Yes.
But then my little mind starts going, you know what? Good. He's slow now because he's stuck behind someone else. But you know what? When he comes alongside me, I'm going to act like a good Samaritan and say, you're leaking oil, just to screw at him. And the other half of mine goes, wait a minute, Daryl. That has nothing to do with him personally. God, this was all a blessing. He wasn't letting you, it looked like he wasn't letting you in personally, but really, God was just guiding you to the easy access opening that was in front of him, to like 2 cars in front of him, so you'd get home to the studio with no problem. It was God. Like, I had to quickly twist it around.
Yes.
You know, rejection is God's protection. That's another great saying that makes things that are hard to swallow at first more palatable.
Yeah, right. Rather than trying to push against things that we think are getting in our way.
Or take it personally, like I almost, you know, that we tend to do for no good reason.
Well, there's very good reason in those moments. We think we have very good reason.
Yes,
but to say that, yeah, because I mean, it seems like we have the best reasons. I got to be here. It wouldn't be so tempting if we didn't have such good reasons, right?
Ugh.
Oh, I told my family I'd be there at this time.
And now this guy's in front of me.
This is a doctor's appointment. I'm trying to get my kid to school.
But that's where connecting the dots makes it easier for me to see these quicker.
Yeah, and we have to, like
in the moment almost, I say them.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. One of the steps is the ability to just almost like trick yourself in that moment and say, I wonder what good thing's going to come out of this, even if you don't really believe it in that moment, right?
Because it will.
Yes.
Something good will.
So we like this story. Here it's referred to as a Taoist story. There's also, I've heard it referred to as a Buddhist story. We've seen it as a Western story. It's like
it works.
It works, so everyone tells it. And this one's called Maybe. And it says, there's a Taoist story of an old farmer who had worked his crops for many years. One day his horse ran away. Upon hearing the news, his neighbors came to visit. Such bad luck, they said sympathetically. Maybe, the farmer replied. And Daryl and I were saying, Daryl and Ed would throw in, he was probably saying to himself, I wonder what good's going to come of this.
Ooh, my horse went away. Well, I wonder what good's going to come of this one.
And sure enough, the next morning the horse returned, bringing with it 3 other wild horses. How wonderful, the neighbors exclaimed. Maybe, replied the old man. The following day his son tried to ride out on one of the untamed horses and was thrown and broke his leg. The neighbors again came to offer their sympathy on his misfortune. Maybe, answered the farmer. The day after, military officials came to the village to draft young men into the army. Seeing that the son's leg was broken, they passed him by. The neighbors congratulated the farmer on how well things had turned out. Maybe, said the farmer.
Yes, it's the perfect story to drive home, to connect the dots. And especially when you couple it with this other story Ed and I were sharing with each other about the Eskimo.
Well, I was going to say one more thing about this story is that the more we live in practice our morning routine or do the things that get me in touch with like the never changing flow of life or the ever present goodness of life, you know, and recognizing that even when it's changing, it's flowing in the right direction. It's like we're not so attached one way or another to the things, like, you know, having such a strong opinion about the good or bad about what's going on, because we know that there's a loving presence underneath it all.
Well, yeah, and if I could start cursing things,
Yeah.
then I'm going to get more problems.
Right, because the crowd in this case is going up and down. This is good. This is bad. This is good. And, I have that part of my mind that does it. The crowd that shows up to tell me that.
Because my mind just wants the short term. It's always like
Yeah.
right here. Oh, no, this is bad. And then I start projecting more bad.
Right.
Because it's going to cause this, that, like a domino
Yeah.
effect. So it's so nice to be able to stop it.
Right, and because actually, that goes with. Why don't you read that power? Because this kind of goes with that, and then you'll tell that Eskimo story, which is
we
good
got
as well.
time. This is from The Prospering Power of Love by Catherine Ponder.
This is a great book.
Yes, it is. And this one talks about the other side of a blessing, almost the part we were talking about earlier, like don't panic if it's not going your way.
Yeah, because the blessing is really us staying in a receptive place to God's plan.
Yeah, the high watch.
The high watch, and we feel good, and
Yes.
we're able to receive God's high, that, like you said, the plan as it unfolds.
I was talking about that this morning with my friend Bobby Leashock.
Yeah.
It's like, because it's easier for me to let go of stuff now.
Yes.
Like things can come and go, and I don't go, oh no.
Yes.
It's almost like, all right. You know what I mean? It gives me freedom.
Yes.
So this says, you never lose that which is for your highest good under any circumstances. When it seems that you have lost something or not gotten something you think you're entitled to,
Yeah.
it is because it is no longer best for you. Though you may feel that it is still best, you have actually outgrown it, and the pruning power of love has released you from it. Realizing this, you are able to free it and open your mind and heart to receive your new and higher good. That's where, like my friend Mike Dugan, whenever I have a snag, what I think of as a snag or something, unfortunate occurring,
Yes.
whether it's an unexpected expense,
Right.
or I got to go somewhere I really don't want to go, and I call my friend Mike Dugan, I tell him the thing, and his response is always the same. That's great!
Yes.
Which immediately shocks me,
Yeah.
because I have to go, you know what, he's right.
Right.
It's going to end up to be something good. And it helps me surrender.
At least it puts even if I like when you say stuff like that to me or someone, at least even if I can't fully get with that idea at that moment, I know, like you said, inside I'm going, I know he's right.
He's
it's
right.
only a matter of time before I let go, and it's like that's a blessing because he's opening up a possibility, and when you'll step into it that eventually, sooner than later.
I was going to say, it's at this point now that knowing all this stuff so well, I actually feel like I'm being an immature baby when people go, that's great. And I want, no, it's not great. Like I want to stay and hang on to it.
But we still do, don't we?
Oh, yeah. And that's why we need friends. And that's why we listen to Unity Online Radio. And that's why we read inspirational books. And that's why we meditate.
Yeah.
And real quick, the Eskimo story.
No. We're not doing it real quick.
We're not
going to do it
Let's
after
go.
the break.
Whoa!
Because it's too good of a story to just rush through. Because you tell it well, and I don't want you to feel rushed.
All right.
Dude, this is odd though. I just got a text from a fan out there on our text line. Kurt says we should. Its name is Kurt Nouse. Kurt Nouse, excuse me. He's visiting L.A. at the moment from upstate New York, and he suggests a book to read to our reading list. It's called The Fat Guy's Guide to Walking Through L.A.
I think he's got to write it first.
I think he's writing it right now. Well, thank you for the suggestion, Kurt. We'll have Mr. French read it and see if it's appropriate for our list. Coming up next, we're excited because not only do we have an Eskimo story, we have Crabby Mystic, Sister Mary Lea Hill, author of Prayer and You, joining the show to read and discuss today's daily word, blessings. So thank you for listening to Funniest Thing on Unity Online Radio.
This one is called The Pants. Take 8.
All right. The YouTube people out there. Get
Hell,
to
look
see
who's
us.
here.
Who?
Listen,
Oh, wow.
you don't have your headset
I know,
on.
I do. I thought that was Jeff Comfort.
He does a good nun impression,
Yes,
doesn't he?
he does. A fine nun impression. How are you, sister?
I'm good. How are you two?
Great. You sound fantastic. Jeff's got you dialed in perfectly.
Yes.
Oh, good.
And for our YouTube watchers, they get to hear these in-between segment pieces.
Oh, no.
This is Sister Mary Lea Hill, the voice you're hearing right now.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Thank goodness she didn't swear.
Yeah.
Thank goodness you dropped any
Really
F-bombs.
true, yeah. Good behavior.
Yes. We don't want to unveil the nun.
That's right.
Oh, no.
Now, how are things where you're at, sister?
Oh, very nice. We're thawing out finally.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. What does
Yep.
thawing out look like out there? What is the weather like at the moment?
Oh, it's quite nice. It's in the probably 40s someplace.
Wow.
But the snow is receding. Very nice.
Thank goodness.
And that's in Boston.
Wow.
Yes.
So that's the cold of the cold.
Yes.
Yeah. But now we're looking forward to 60 degrees on Friday, I think.
Whoa.
Wow.
I know we won't know what to do with ourselves.
That sounds like nuns in bikini weather.
What?
Well, I don't think that's going to happen.
Jeff Comfort is enjoying listening to this conversation.
I'm just reading the words that Jeff Comfort's putting on the teleprompter. That's all. We'll blame it on him.
So, what are we going to do?
Well, we're going to tell a quick Eskimo story. I don't know if you've heard it. You might have. So I'll surprise you with it.
Yes.
And then we're going to and then we're going to thank our listeners, and then a shout out to the prayer line, and then we're going to introduce Sister Mary Lea Hill. We're coming back.
Yep.
Here we go.
Okay.
Hold on to your habit.
You're listening to Funniest Thing with Daryl and Ed, the best looking guys on the radio. If you have a question or comment about today's show, or if you'd like to join in the discussion, friend us on Facebook at Funniest Thing with Daryl and Ed, or email us at funniestthing@unityonlineradio.org. Now, back to Funniest Thing.
Welcome back to Funniest Thing.
Yes. Today's show is called Let's Play Connect the Dots.
That's right. Going back through our day or through moments and seeing how the seemingly negative misfortunes we thought at the time actually turned out to be blessings just as much as the blessings that we were obvious.
It's an easy way for me to get started is always with that gratitude list. Like giving thanks for what's happening now in this moment. This the simplest thing, being alive, having a place to sit and write or whatever it is, then opens me up to that perspective that I may not have been able to grasp earlier in the day. But man, it's better that we get it late than never.
I'm glad you brought up the gratitude list because most people, and sometimes even myself, but most people when you mention, hey, look, it sounds like you need to do a gratitude list.
Yeah.
You know, Mike Dugan will say, it sounds like you need to do a gratitude list. I'm like, no, I don't need to do it. Because it just sounds like a gratitude, really? I mean, I got serious problems. I'm feeling very depressed. Things aren't working out. And you're telling me to go do it. And you know what? Try it.
Oh, my
because
God.
it is incredible. Not only does it transform my mood,
Right.
but immediately circumstances seem to
No kidding.
improve as well.
Yes.
And we got a great story because we got a great guest coming up.
Yeah, before the break, we were talking. Daryl kept mentioning this Eskimo story.
Yes!
And it is, don't rush.
I'm
We got
excited.
plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Okay.
That's what I keep telling myself. So you've taught me that. You don't mind going 4 minutes over the break. Jeff loves when you do that. I'm just kidding. We'll hit the break. So tell us this wonderful Eskimo story because it's so important after the fact that we acknowledge the good.
Now, this is so up in Nova Scotia, freezing cold Nova Scotia.
Yes.
In the middle of a storm, one of the townspeople went out, this young man, to go hunting.
Yes.
And he was missing for like 2 weeks.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. So the town folk were very concerned. They're gathering together in the local pub, where they'd meet.
Where else would you gather to meet and pray?
Well, yeah, public house.
That's right.
So they all get together and, they're wondering, well, let's just continue to pray and hope he makes it safely.
Yes.
And just at that moment, boom, guess who comes in the front door from the freezing cold?
The guy who went hunting.
That's right, the missing hunter.
Yes.
They're so happy to see him. And right away, the priest runs up to him and he says, oh my God, I'm so grateful God brought you back to us. My son, did you pray to God? He brought you here. And, for help.
Yes.
Did you pray to God for help? Because he delivered you back to us. And, Father, I prayed. But it didn't do much. What do you mean it didn't do much? no, you're here. And he goes, yeah, but God didn't have anything to do with it. Well, then what happened, my son? Well, right after I got done praying for God's help, an Eskimo showed up and showed me how to get back to town. So that's the thing. And you know what? That's the thing about connecting the dots.
Yes.
Because I'll do a prayer or put in a prayer request. And just recently I sent out a prayer request on the You Pray app for my cat has a cancer.
Right.
And so the prayer was for guidance for myself and Lori on what to do next.
Right.
And for the comfort of our cat, Francis.
Yes.
So later that day, when Lori got home from work, she goes, the vet called her personally, our personal vet, on his home time to discuss honestly how he would go through a situation like this if it was his pet.
Right.
Because he even explained, he goes, now listen, what a surgeon will consider a successful outcome, you might not consider a successful outcome.
Yeah.
Because the surgeon may think removing the tumor, but now his last year of life getting chemo as a successful outcome.
Right.
That may not be a successful outcome to you or Francis. And I am like, it was one of those moments where I didn't have to work to connect the dots. I was like, oh my God, I just said this prayer this morning.
Yeah.
I put in this prayer request this morning.
Right.
And that's unlike the Eskimo, the guy who was saved by the Eskimo. I can see that the Eskimo was the answer to my prayer.
Yes. Dude, that is fantastic. And that's what this show is all about, encouraging ourselves to connect the dots. Because the more we connect them, the easier, like you just said, you start to see it. It's like, because you have to we have to train our mind to see what is real. That's why it's so effective.
And feels so good.
It's really happening all the time, and it's just training our brain to accept it, to be receptive to it, to see it when it's happening, or to be more receptive after the fact.
Yeah, because fear is what is the only thing that makes me cynical, distrusting.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Not accepting things.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. There were 2 days. One day I went surfing with my buddy at a new little spot, and I was so fearful of the locals and blah, blah, blah. And I swear I found the only 2 guys there. There's not that many, 5 guys there total. But I was so attracted to the 2 guys who wouldn't smile. And I was writing all these stories about them, right? And I did, my inner process to let go of that. And I ended up meeting friendly people. But the next time we went back, I had made a list in the morning and kind of what would I want to experience on that day. And one of the things was just surrounded by friendly people who appreciate life as much as I do, and because that's another part of connecting the dots is you can connect the dots beforehand by making a list of what kind of day you want to have. So I did that. And then the next time we went, there was only one other guy. And he was the most friendly guy. He treated me like I myself was a local, even though it was my only second time there. We were so grateful for the waves and everything else. But the reason I mention this because when I got home, it wasn't until I got home that I really realized, whoa, that was a direct answer to my prayer. The only guy I met was so appreciative and joyful. And a world of difference.
And it starts to make sense that prayer is the open, and healthy, expectant attitude towards things, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm allowed to think that way because now that I connect the dots, I prove it over and over to myself.
Right, and I do these little things I call like a confession with just me and God, where I'll say, "Look, God, I'm not seeing it right now," and then I'll just hear that inner voice tell me, "Well, just take a moment. You've thought that before. You've missed it before.
Yes,
it's okay to miss it. It's okay." And then so you start where you are and just being willing to be open and receptive to start seeing it. And before you know it, you will. So let's take a moment to thank our listeners.
That's right. We have the best listeners in the business.
We do. And, we got a quick letter from Bobby Biggs. I'm just going to read a part of it. We asked Blind Bobby Biggs, who was the guest last week, how he found our show.
Yes, and because now he's like on the choir at Unity in Tampa. He's really involved.
He's really, really, really involved, and he's really, really happy about all the stuff he's involved in. And he said he found Unity Online Radio, which was called Unity.fm, which you can still get Unity Online Radio at Unity.fm, back in 2010. He listened on and off for a few years, and then on his way to work, August 28th, 2014, he decided to tune back into the station.
He has the date.
Yes, he does. That's when we were doing our episode of Don't Be Afraid to Be the Lovable Buffoon God Meant You to Be.
Yes.
The way you guys were talking about God was amazing. I wanted what you guys have. That's when I emailed you guys, and the rest is history. Later, I'll share more of my personal story with you. Love you guys, Bobby. And I thought it would be great if you're listening and you have a story. We would love to know. You could email us or
How
go to our
you discovered
website.
this show?
Yeah, let us know. Like I'm not sure how Sandy Page, for example, someone we've communicated with many times. I'd love to hear how she found the show.
Or Jen Henry.
Yeah, so we're calling out a few people, like they did on that challenge online. But if you feel compelled to share that story, we would love to hear it. So next thing we want to do is, thank the man who makes. We thank our tweeters. We always do that.
Oh, we got lots of tweeters
Lots of
today.
new
There's
tweeters.
a lot of new tweeters
Yeah, what
because
was
the
that?
Crabby Mystic.
Love package.
Oh, I don't know, but I know because people heard that the Crabby Mystic's on board.
Yes.
We got a bunch of new tweeters.
That's right.
Spreading the word. And
Yeah.
I'll look those up while you pull that up.
Yep. And again, you go to our website, darylanded.com. Everything that we do is there. Let's thank our chief engineer, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because each week, this man, Jeff Comfort,
Yes.
he takes us right into the comfort zone. Yeah. Boom.
Yeah, we got these new tweeters today.
Kathy Nipper,
Well, yeah, Kathy Nipper's Pauline Authors, at Pauline Authors. And then
Daughters
we
of St. Paul.
oh my God, we got the Daughters of St. Paul at Daughters of St. Paul.
Sister Martha Moss.
Oh, yeah, and that's at
Martha Moss, FSP. The good times are rolling on the Twitter.
We're gonna have to get into the habit of bringing Sister Mary Lea Hill on a lot more.
That's right. That's right. You already mentioned the You Pray app, which is a free app from Unity. You can go find it at the App Store. We use it all the time. We give a shout out also every week to the prayer line, which is 800-NOW-PRAY or 800-669-7729.
Yes, and we just want to let our listeners know there's no obligation. That's what's wonderful about this prayer line.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a member of a specific denomination or church. They're not going to take your email. You're not going to be harangued with anything other than you just put in your prayer request, and if you like, you can ask for a letter back that's just like a positive affirmation of the prayer. That's all you'll receive.
And if you're feeling alone and you're on your own,
Flesh and bone.
by the telephone,
Pick up the receiver.
they'll make you a believer. And actually, I would like to say my godfather out there in New York, John Perna, is going through some health challenges right now. He's in the hospital. So if everyone could take a moment to send him some love, some light, just know that all is well.
And
know
Francis,
who he really is.
And Francis the cat.
And Francis the cat, while you're at it, we would greatly appreciate that. So now it's time for our our Daily Word segment.
That's right.
And we should let everyone know, if you go to darylanded.com, you can go to the special offer page. There's a great way that you can get the Daily Word for just a ridiculous basement, whatever.
It's unbelievable.
Very low price.
For only $9.95, you get a full year subscription of
Yeah.
it delivered to your house, the paper version.
We have our own landing page at dailyword.com/funniest thing. Daryl likes to say that this silly booklet, the Daily Word, continues to transform our lives with simple, direct, and uplifting daily words of wisdom.
Yes, it's not
It's not just for
little old ladies.
Go, granny, go, granny, go, granny, go, yeah.
And speaking of someone who's not a little old lady,
So we'd like to welcome Sister Mary Lea Hill, a.k.a. the Crabby Mystic, to the show.
Oh, goody.
all right, we didn't put her asleep this time.
That's right, that's right.
I don't think anybody can go to sleep through you two.
Oh, we'll take that as a compliment.
Yes, we will.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we will. So, we couldn't be happier that you're with us today, Sister.
And
Well, I'm very happy to be here.
And for listeners, we both recommend your book to everyone, Prayer and You. And you could find that on our Goodreads list or through Amazon or any of your favorite booksellers by
If you're a
Sister
YouTube watcher, you can see it on the screen right now.
That's right. It's holding
Very
it up.
good guide to having a very accessible,
Yes.
personal relationship with prayer and with God.
In a very open
Yeah.
and friendly and fun and humorous twist.
Yes.
It takes
Awesome.
it takes all the hard work out of prayer.
Yes, thank
puts
God.
puts the FUN back into prayer.
Which Daryl and I love. So we're happy that you're on today, especially with blessings is our daily word for today.
Uh-huh.
And our show's been all about connecting the dots so that we actually look for the blessings, because our pea brains at least don't always catch them while they're happening. So
I don't think any of us really always catch them.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Yeah, that's straight out of the mouth of Sister Mary Lea Hill. You can let yourself off the hook if you're out there and you're not catching the blessings and you're beating yourself up. Why don't I catch more blessings?
I don't look for blessings like Daryl and Ed. I'm a loser. Well, we don't catch them either. That's why we have each other to remind each other. Wait a minute, Ed. You just had this, and had this happen. Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's why we bring nuns on, to let us off the hook. So, sister, do you have the daily word there?
I think I do.
Oh, thank goodness. All right, so when you're ready,
Oh, you want me to read it?
let it rip.
Okay.
That's why we sent you all those fresh-baked cookies.
Oh, yeah. I was too busy eating them. I didn't get to read this. Okay, now tell me if I'm reading the wrong thing. But it says, I am blessed by living the spiritual life.
Oh, thank God, it's the right one.
Whoa.
Oh, good. And the memories of my life are like photographs in an album. They document adventures, challenges, growth, and discovery. Some images vividly evoke the feelings, places, sounds, and circumstances of the past. I remember beautiful moments of joy when spiritual gifts were easy to see. At other times, I navigated painful experiences by drawing from my deep well of faith. All of my experiences contribute to my spiritual understanding and growth. I have known God as my source of strength when I feel weak, and my source of joy when my heart is brimming with happiness. I am blessed by living a spiritual life and knowing I always walk with God. And the Psalms, Psalm 21:6, we read, You bestow on him blessings forever. You make him glad with the joy of your presence.
Thank goodness. That's good stuff right there. Sister Mary Lea Hill, you're a real-life nun.
Yeah.
What do you do to
I
connect the dots in your life to stay aware and thankful for the good that God is doing in your life?
Well, since I am a nun, we have the practice of what we call it the examination. And every day, several times, we just take a minute or two to examine how the day has gone, to look at the blessings we received, if we can recognize them, the good things that happen, how God has enriched our life that day, and also to look at, areas where we could use some improvement. Nice. And possibly anything we've done wrong. And so we're connecting all these dots because, you need to see how it all works together.
Yes.
Wow. You know what I love about that? One, that's something simple we can all use. And two, that's an examination that Daryl and I can actually pass.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what's great? Actually, there's a little chapter in your book that talks about this. I remember reading it, and I thought the same thing. Yeah, you probably forgot which chapter, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but you actually share that practice in the book where we look, and it's such a great thing to it's actually a habit, no pun intended, that we got it takes a little time to get into, but once you get into it, the time you spend doing it,
oh my God,
makes me feel. For myself, it's something like, oh, do I want to really? Because you could call it an inventory, you can call it connecting the dots. I prefer to call it, because it just sounds so much more fun.
Yeah.
But the time spent always lifts my spirit, even if some of the things seem misfortunate, or I find some things in my character where I behaved in a way I no longer would like to behave. I still at least feel motivated
Yes.
and uplifted to move forward in a more positive direction.
Yeah.
It's not a shaming
No,
process.
you know what? Because if there is shame, it's just an opportunity for forgiveness and
Yes.
shining light on something that has been hurting. It's not like me sitting down is causing the pain. Me sitting down is an opportunity to treat whatever pain or whatever I might be doing that's not in alignment with who I am.
It actually just dawned on me. It's really like being loving to myself.
Yes.
It's like that moment of saying, okay, here, well, we're going to look at that. Because the problem is when we go too long, at least for myself, and I don't connect the dots, or I ignore these little twangs of shame or guilt or anger, and I just pack it down like a musket, then it's going to erupt in a way I'm going to really regret. And it has, and it's happened. But when I do this practice, which Ed and I kind of pound each other into doing just because we're always talking about it.
Yeah.
It definitely, it's life transformative. It's uplifting. It feels great. And it does transform my current circumstances because my mood elevates.
Yeah.
You know, it's a blessing just to recognize our faults,
Yes.
or
Yes.
you know what those things that we keep tripping over every day. You know,
Yeah.
we may not ever be able to fix it up. We may never be what we consider a perfect example of humanity, but but you know, it's a gift from God just to be able to recognize and to know who we are.
Yes.
And you know, then we start seeing the graces that are hanging off the edges of all those things.
Yes.
Because I find that I avoid a lot of trouble by catching it myself first. Because, I mean, it's a blessing that I catch it. And it's either I'm going to catch it or life is going to send me someone else who's going to point it out for me. I remember I worked with a kid in jail once, and he was, like, every so often, this loud voice would be coming over the loudspeaker to tell him to do this or that. You know, I said, well, you can either start, parenting yourself, like being that voice for yourself, or you're always going to need voices like this yelling at you to tell, like, the metaphor in that moment was so profound because I was actually in a jail,
Well, and it's also a good thing, sister, too. It's dawned on me the way you just put it is, it also allows me to understand in a healthy way my personal limits so I don't have to overextend myself. Like now I know it's okay for me to say no to certain things because I know they're just not for me. They're not whereas in the past I would ignore that limitation in myself. Or
and then we end up wasting so much energy. I end up wasting the most energy on the things that I have no business doing.
That
in the
I don't
first
fit.
place.
Where I don't fit. This allows me to be able to say yes when I mean yes and no when I mean no because I have a better understanding of who I really am.
That's right.
And then I could be where God wants me to be.
That's right. And that is so much more amazing than anything I could conjure up.
Me too.
Yep. All right, Sister Mary Lea Hill, we're going to go to a break now. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing
thank you for having me.
Sharing the examination idea with our listeners and just your loving presence. We love having you. Thank you.
Our
I love coming.
And our listeners love you.
My mom gives me brownie points.
Oh.
I hope she gives you brownies too. Not just the points.
That's
brownies.
right. That's right.
Well, hopefully she's listening because I think that's just the thing Mrs. B needs to hear to actually be motivated to make us brownies, Ed.
Yeah, I'm going to see her maybe tomorrow, so maybe that'll happen. All right, so coming up after the break, we'll have a joke of the day, listener mailbag, and more. So thank you for listening to Funniest Thing on Unity Online Radio.
Okay, sister.
Yes.
Okay, I think I can find that chapter because I actually.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what it is.
Do you know it? Do you
No.
It's not praying.
I know
for...
it's in there, but I don't know which one it is.
Oh God! It's just passing through. No.
No, that's people.
Oh goodness! No, it's not. Loves me not. It's not wine and dine.
Is it the Big Dig? Or
Hang on. Okay, here's the big dig.
that is.
Is this it? No, this is close to it, but it's actually right on the money of what you shared. It's almost. Was it connecting prayer? You know what? I'm gonna have to find it and let you know.
Let our listeners know as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely let our listeners know.
We should have a contest. Who can find it?
Yes, actually, yeah. If you're watching on YouTube and you have this book, Prayer in You, and you know the chapter I'm referring to, please email us. You can contact us at the DarylandEd.com website.
That's right. You can go to our Facebook page from there as well, and post it on there if you like on our wall. Oh man, this is good. That examination idea, I like that.
Yes.
I mean, it puts together a lot of things that we always talk about.
Yeah, and you know what's fascinating in the 12-step group, Alcoholics Anonymous, they actually talk about getting into the practice of doing what they call spot check inventory.
Yeah.
But sometimes, people take the word inventory to, as a little too heavy. Like, oh no, I got to find out,
Right.
What's wrong with me. And that's not what it's about. That's why I like the way you phrased it, sister. It's much more palatable.
Yeah, we have to do that for ourselves.
Yes, otherwise I don't do it. If it doesn't sound
That's right.
if it doesn't sound friendly or fun.
Yeah.
I know it really is like just as important as for me now as flossing or brushing my teeth or whatever. It's just a natural part of a successful day.
Oh,
all right, Jeff Comfort's given us the
Cue, so we'll see you
spinning
later.
finger, so we will talk to you soon.
Hosts,
Okay.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
guys on the radio.
Okay, welcome back to Let's Play Connect the Dots.
Let's play Connect the Dots. Man, Sister Mary Lea Hill is the best, isn't she?
Yes!
And I just thought it was something you told me the other day, and I actually emailed it to myself to remind myself, because one of the beautiful things about connecting the dots and doing the examination or an inventory, whatever, throughout the day is knowing what to say yes to, and because
Yes.
only I can know that for myself, and only you can know that for
Right.
you. And this puts us in the driver's seat to do that effectively. And you said it, and I wrote it down, and you said it, and I think Dugan told you.
Oh, a yes to you is a no
no,
to
a
me.
no to them.
Oh, yeah, no to them is
Is
a
a
yes
yes
to
to
me.
me.
And a yes to them, if it's something that I'm really not right for, is actually a no to me.
And I love that because, man, I'm still a recovering yes person
Me
too much of
too.
the time. And it's I used to breed so much hostility and resentment that then I would pack it down because I really didn't know where it was coming from. But that's where it was coming from, is not knowing who I really was, what was best for me, and not knowing how to say yes and no at the right appropriate times.
You know what a great episode we did that lets people off the hook that are a lot like us, where we feel we ought to say yes. We
Yeah.
should always be willing to be of service or we're not a good Christian.
Right.
And that is garbage because doing what you love is being of service.
Yes.
And my wife is smart like that. She wanted to volunteer at the shelter, but instead of like cleaning out cages and going, well, I want to volunteer, she knew she loved photography, so she volunteered her photography services.
Yes.
So they'd have better photos on the website, which actually
Yes.
resulted even in a news story of how it increased the adoptions. But see how God used that
Yeah.
for a really good thing, and it actually resulted in something bigger than her and the institution. And that's something to let yourself off the hook. Listen to that episode. It's called Doing What You Love. Doing What You Love is being of service.
Yeah,
we don't have
it's
to say
fantastic.
yes because martyrs are being of service. See, that's what I
right.
used to believe, and all that did was create resentment in
Yeah.
myself.
You know, in this reading from Daily Guidance from Your Angels, by Doreen Virtue, go to our reading list at DarylNed.com if you like it and find it there. It says, relax because it's all good.
Yes, it is.
And that's what this is all about, too, is realizing that it is all good.
It is all good.
God is omnipresent, which means that the divine is everywhere and within each person and thing. All that you see is God. It's impossible for anything or anyone to be apart from heaven, no matter how it might appear. Cling to this knowledge today. In any situation where you feel fear or stress, tell yourself, this is God. This reminder relaxes away the worry that something could be out of order. You'll recall that you're safely guided in all circumstances and need only to listen and follow that guidance with faith. Today, remember that the divine within you and every person, is within you and every person. It's all around you. As you focus on the fact that it's all the Creator, you experience heaven's enveloping love. apparent problems begin to vanish through undreamed of solutions. Apparent problems begin to vanish through undreamed of solutions. Relax right now, because it's all God.
I'm on fire. You know why?
Why?
Because this show just transformed this whole episode in my mind about connecting us, transformed that footprints prayer. You know, the guy.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Why are there only one set of footprints? You abandoned me during my hardest times. And God goes, no, that's when I carried you.
Yes.
And I walked beside you during the good times. And I
Yes.
used to think, ugh, that's terrible. That means I'm going to have suffering times where God carries me. And I go, but now I realize, no, it's saying all those times were really blessings guiding you.
Yeah.
In the moment,
Totally.
just see them as blessings.
So just relax into the arms and let yourself be carried.
And go, I wonder what wonderful thing's going to come of this.
Yeah, yippee!
That's great.
Yes.
What do you mean I'm not getting the mortgage? Ooh, I wonder what thing we're going to get instead of this. And actually, me and my wife went through a situation like that, which turned out better than expected.
Perfect.
So what do
we
we
do a
got?
quick joke?
A quick joke?
Well, let's do it anyway. Let's not even think about it. It was about a month ago when a man in Amsterdam felt that he needed to confess. Did you hear about this? He
What
went
did
to a
do?
priest.
Wow, he must have did something terrible.
Yeah, well, you're the guy. So what did he say?
He said, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. During World War II, I had a refugee in my attic.
Yeah, he hid him up there in his attic. Well, answered the priest, that's not a sin.
Well, but I made him agree to pay me $20 for every week he stayed.
Well, I admit that wasn't good, but you did it for a good cause.
Oh, thank you, Father. That eases my mind. I have one more question.
And what is that, my son?
Do I have to tell him the war is over?
Woo! Oh, that reminds me of the time. Oh, boy.
Fan mail.
Even better.
Ooh, Gabby the Postal Pitbull.
Come here. Give me that. All right.
Gabby.
Here, you want to read this one? This one
Oh.
comes from Culver City, California, not far away.
Yes, from Kathy Quinn. It says, Dear Daryl and Ed, as I'm listening to you today, the thought occurred to me, of all the things I do on a regular basis to feed my spirit, listening to you is such an important part of that practice. You feed my soul and remind me that my thoughts are not facts. You teach me how to direct my thinking in a positive way. You give me hope during what would otherwise be a challenging time in my life. The best part is, I don't have to wait until Wednesday to hear you. I can go to YouTube and actually watch you whenever the need arises. Thank you and keep it up, Kathy Quinn. P.S. I know I write you guys a lot, but I need to acknowledge what is good and valuable, and you guys fit that category constantly.
Oh, my gosh.
I
Fantastic.
have one response to Kathy Quinn.
What?
You do not write us enough.
That's right. We can never get enough of that. The next one comes again from Blind Bobby Biggs in Tampa, Florida, who says, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed being on the program today. What an experience. You guys really gave some good tips about what to do about worry. I can't thank you guys enough for being in my life and for giving me your contact info. I love you guys and appreciate you. God bless you. 1 year ago, I never thought that the things that have happened over the past year would have happened. Now here I am, a new member of Unity, new friends like you and Ed, among other things, building a new network, making new discoveries about myself and about what I really believe. I love you guys. Hope you're doing well. Hope your families are doing well. Take care and talk to you soon. Blind Bobby Biggs.
Wow, talk about a blessings episode. We're getting blessed left and right.
I know, and we got another quick one from Kurt Nouse, who's walking around out there and said, life is great. He's listening to our show right now. He said, life is great listening to Daryl and Ed, walking around on a beautiful day and smiling at the simple things like people walking their dogs.
Fascinating.
Well, that's a good one to, a good way to connect the dots. I love smiling at people walking their dogs.
Well, we've been all over the map with this show.
Wait, before
What do you got?
that, I want to tell one funniest thing. Remember last night I walked into we didn't know where to eat?
Yeah, well, why don't you tell that story? Because I'm all flustered
Yeah.
here.
I know. We got a lot of information today. But I just wanted to say that we were trying to figure out where to eat. And I just kept hearing one option in my head. El Pollo Loco. And
It was a hunch.
it was a hunch. And then it turned out that they were open late.
Because a gourmet like a food aficionado like yourself wouldn't think Pollo Loco
Oh, I know.
at 11 at night.
And I was with Kurt Nouse, to be honest. He is another member of Coconut Donut, a band I'm with that we're recording a great album as we speak, or it's being mixed. It's all coming together. And so by his hotel, there was an El Pollo Loco that closed at 11 p.m. of all things, which is pretty late out here for a restaurant.
So
We finally decided, go there. I go there, and one of my old students is working at the register, and from last year, right? And I said, man, you look great. And at the time I worked with him, he was like trying to get everything taken care of, get his unit so he could graduate.
And he was jolly when
he was
you saw
so
him.
jolly, and he was doing a great job, and he always wanted to get a job, a part-time job, and here he was doing a great job, so friendly, and I said, dude, you look great. He said, well, it's all because of you, man. And I said, what? And he said, my 11th grade was the greatest year of my life. And it's all because of you, because I never would have got that English work done. Miss Lanier, I wouldn't have never got her work done if you hadn't helped me.
See, and that's why hunches are important. Follow the hunch.
Oh my God, it made my night. It really lifted my spirits. And I said, oh, thank you. And he said, I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. He's got such an old soul. He was just so overflowing with joy. He even gave me a salad to take home with me.
So, Ed, Comfort's wailing his fingers at us. We're running out of time. I'm still not sure with all we talked about. How can we narrow this show down into like blessings?
Well, now I know God's got something that you can trust.
Well, what is it?
It's something mysterious.
You're not kidding.
And now it seems I'm connecting the dots. God seems to have an invisible touch.
Yeah!
God reaches in and grabs right hold of your heart. God seems to have an invisible touch. Yeah! Love takes control and slowly connects all the dots.
We don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to say,
Woo!
If you want to know anything about Daryl and Ed, go to darylned.com.
Crabby Mystic!
And most of all, thank you so much for
Pauline!
tuning into Funniest
Daughters
Thing.
of St. Paul, Pauline Media, Jeff Comfort.
For tuning into Funniest Thing with Daryl and Ed on Unity Online Radio.
God seems to have an invisible touch. Yeah! Love takes control and slowly connects all the dots.
Woo!
All right.